spend a lot of time watching John Prosper's videos. They're really good. I like them. And every once in a while, he'll do a video like this where he isn't just talking about tech news. It's more of an opinion piece. I'm not sure how much of the opinion is his, how much of it is he has a new writer, so I'm sure they work together. Some of it might, the opinions might be both of theirs or just his. I'm really not sure, but I did like this video, and we're only going to watch maybe like the first, I don't know, 10 to 15 seconds of it, and then I'll include the link to the rest of it in the description. So let's go ahead and watch these first couple of seconds.
Apple just released an iPhone that had its charging port dictated by a government. And
correct. That is a true statement. USB-C is now on the iPhone. And from a consumer standpoint, that is a huge win. For multiple reasons. One, and we have to you have to look at it from multiple perspectives, and you still come to the same conclusion that it's a win for consumers. So let's just talk about the Apple products, their Macs, their iPads, USB-C, but yet the iPhone still had Lightning. Apple was pivotal in the creation of that port. So why would they not want to put it on all of their devices? Money. Obviously, the Made for iPhone program exists. Every time Apple sells a lightning cable, or somebody else sells a lightning cable that has gone through Apple's Made for iPhone program, they make money. It makes sense. But as a consumer, you now have a cable that can, let's say, charge your computer, whether it's a Mac or not. But then you have now a different cable only for your iPhone. For some of us who have a bunch of USB-C devices, like right now, I have a pair of headphones right here. I have an Android device. I have this Mac. Those are 3 products, 3 different categories, 3 different companies that I can charge all with this same cable. And what's interesting, this cable was made by yet a different company, Lenovo. This is a Lenovo charger. So from a consumer standpoint, that is great. I don't need a lightning cable. I have a universal charger right here, which now, yes, as a result of regulation, also now charges this iPhone. That is an absolute win for consumers. But before we continue with other examples, I'd also like to make it clear that Apple, and I don't know necessarily the best terminology or how to specifically say it, but Apple pays lobbyists or pays lobbying organizations or supports lobby. I don't know the exact terminology in terms of how that actually works, but essentially Apple pays people or companies to go lobby on their behalf for things that benefit Apple. So from John's tone, you can tell that he doesn't like the fact that the government told Apple to do something. But the government did it to, for the most part, benefit consumers, which when we elect officials, that's what we want them to do. However, as a company, Apple will then pay lobbyists to then also influence the government's opinion on things, to pass laws, literally things that will benefit them and screw you. So why is it okay for the government to tell Apple to do something, but then I assume he thinks it's also okay for Apple to then essentially tell the government what to do through the lobbyist? So I understand why you would not want the government telling a company to say, hey, this is what you're going to do. But when they don't do things that just make sense, and they're not going to just listen to us, like, hey, we would really like if you did this. I mean, give it enough time, maybe they will. But usually, yeah, a company as big and as powerful as Apple is going to do what they want to do for as long as they can do it. And it took the European Union to step in and say, hey, that cable is stupid. And there are a bunch of other things that are happening in the world. I know. I know, but there are different aspects of what the government does, and when it comes to protecting consumers, something like this just makes sense. So I will include the link to his video down in the description, but obviously it's not the end of Apple. Apple's going to do what they want to do. And when it comes to the government not telling Apple what to do, there are definitely a few things that come to mind. So the first thing is right to repair. So Apple doesn't want you repairing your own devices. You spend $1,000 on that phone or $2,000 on that MacBook, or even if it's the cheap iPhone SE for only $300 or whatever it costs, new or used, doesn't really matter. But something as simple as replacing the battery in those devices that you purchased, Apple doesn't want you doing it. And it takes legislation from the government to say, Apple, these consumers purchased their devices from you. Yes, you are the manufacturer, but there are things that they should be able to do without you getting involved. And I use the battery because they all have batteries. But there are other things like the display. There are plenty of YouTubers online showing that if you take 2 MacBooks and just brand new, fresh out the packaging, and just swap their displays, the displays don't work properly. Same thing with iPhones. 2 iPhones, brand new, fresh out of the box, swap their displays, doesn't work. The cameras, the sensor that detects whether or not the lid on your MacBook is open, that thing is serialized to the motherboard. There are so many things when it comes to the right to repair that Apple is just against, that the government has to tell them that. So when it comes to this port, there's no difference. That, yeah, everybody's trying to use the same thing. It just makes it easier for everybody. But Apple wants to stay over here and do their own thing. No, we're going to make it so you need to conform some. We're not telling you that you have to do everything the same way that everybody does stuff. But for something like this, hey, change the port. Hey, people need to be able to swap out their own batteries or take it to a third-party repair shop without it having to be an authorized Apple repair shop. I've replaced quite a few batteries in iPhones before it became an issue. And yeah, I have made mistakes when it comes to replacing a battery, when it comes to repairing the screens, when it comes to the mute switch on the iPhone. Like, you make mistakes, but for the most part, repairing your own devices is not a dangerous task. So that's another example of the government having to tell Apple, and they tell other companies things too, hey, you need to do things this way because it's better for the consumer. I also just made a video about RCS. If you have an iPhone and you are texting your iPhone friends, yeah, you get the iMessage experience. But the moment you text one of your Android friends, that experience is terrible. It's gone back in time, quite some time, to the point where, and here are the only things that I really care about, you don't know if your message is actually delivered, and when you send videos or pictures, the quality is degraded, and your stuff isn't encrypted. Like, those are things that impact you, the Apple user, because I don't have the same product as you. How does that make any sense? And how would you not want the government to say, hey, there are so many things in your company that we will not tell you what to do, but you are just making things worse for everybody. By not playing ball, you are just making things worse. And yeah, I don't have a problem with the government having to step in and say, hey, change this. Because, again, there are so many things about your products that we are not going to care about. But this is something that you need to change. And for me, to try to make this video short, yeah, those are 3 things that I think it's okay for the government to say, you got to change some stuff. So a universal connector, a universal profile in terms of your texting experience, RCS, and then the right to repair. People buy these products and they should be able to swap out components. Like I said, the link to his video will be down in the description. I've watched it once and I'll probably watch it again just to, remind myself of everything that he recently said. But yeah, sometimes the government needs to get involved. Plenty of times they, do some things that you might look at them and be like, why did you do that? I appreciate the fact that I'm now able to charge my iPhone with the same charger that I can charge this ZenFone, this MacBook that I'm talking to you through, this pair of headphones, and the charger is made by Lenovo. So, yeah, that's a great thing. I long for the days when I can easily swap out batteries and other components in iPhones. We'll see if that ever happens. And I'm looking forward to next year when Apple adopts RCS and includes it in iOS.